Have you ever planned out a delicious dessert for your holiday party, and then one of your relatives surprisingly tells you that they are gluten-free? Fear not, because you are about to learn how to make brownies that are arguably better than regular brownies.
So the first thing you must do before you begin your delicious gluten-free brownies is preheat your oven to 350 degrees, which I have already done over here. So the next most important thing is to prepare your 9x13 pan with or without foil, that's your personal opinion. And you gotta spray it down with any type of spray that just to make sure it doesn't stick. Pretty basic stuff. So the first thing you must do with your ingredients is start with 1 cup of any type of gluten-free flour and put it into a medium bowl. So right after you do that, you can put your flour away for the moment. And next, what you have to do is whisk in the xanthan gum, which you would need a 1/2 teaspoon of, but the xanthan gum was already included in that certain type of flour, so any type of flour that you're using, you're just gonna have to check whether or not it contains the xanthan gum, or else you will have to put it in separately. So next, you gotta put the baking powder in with the flour. A 1/4 teaspoon. You will need a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Easy, you can set that aside. And then you can use nuts, stir in toasted chopped nuts, about a 1/2 cup, but just for this video I'm going to leave those out. So you're gonna need a whisker or really anything to just stir together the flour and the baking powder and xanthan gum, whether or not you use it. So the next thing that you must do is you have to take the 3 ounces of unsweetened baking chocolate, or any substitution of cocoa powder that would be used for that, but the best way to use is baking chocolate, and a stick of butter, and then you would melt that in the microwave or anywhere. So after you melt the chocolate and the butter, it may or may not be fully melted or in different thicknesses, so you may have to stir that up a little bit just to make sure that it's all incorporated into one liquid. Here you go. And then that's when you start putting in the sugar. So I've pre-measured the sugar already. 1.5 cups of sugar is necessary when you beat it in with the chocolate and the butter. As you can see here, I moved the sugar, chocolate, and the butter into a bigger mixing bowl to prepare for the next step. It's already starting to take form of what the batter should look like. So the next step, you have to beat in 3 large eggs. Generally a pretty easy task. As any baker would know, make sure that the shell does not go into the bowl. And of course, as a majority of recipes would call for, there's a teaspoon of vanilla, generally a capful in most containers. And there is only one more step to make these brownies special. What makes these brownies truly special, which is what you might be wondering, is the last ingredient. It's the Andes mint bites that go in at the end along with the flour. Andes mints are basically just sweet, fancy mints that you would put in as an ingredient for most types of mint confections. And this is what will really give these brownies the kick that they need for your holiday party. No amount is too big or too small of these mints to put into your brownie mix. I personally think that more is better than less, but it all depends on your opinion and how much mint you really want. And last and most importantly, you have to put in the flour mix at the end. This is what will give the brownies the texture and the thickness that will make them actual brownies. Assuming you put in a certain number of mint bites in the general area between a half cup and a cup, your mix should look something like this. It's a light brown color, a little bit, a few chunks. It's pretty thick, but you know, that's what most brownie mixes are. Then you of course have to spoon it into your 9x13 already prepared sprayed pan. It might have foil, but really does not matter that much. It's just for ease of getting it in and out of the pan.
Wow. Turned out perfect. Might be a little bit cracked, but you won't be able to see that once you put the topping on. You gotta put the powdered sugar on while it's still warm so it'll melt a little bit more and be more apart and not fall off when you cut up the brownies. Let's see how it tastes. Mmm! Wow. That's amazing! So there you have it, your holiday party mint brownies that nobody would ever expect are gluten-free.